Hello and welcome to In Conversation with Rashmi. Today's guest is someone who has given 35 years of professional experience in cancer patient care and support, Viji Venkatesh. Viji Venkatesh is the regional head India and South Asia at the Max Foundation, managing trustee Friends of Max, and trustee Being Human, the Salman Khan Foundation. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to have you here in this conversation today, Vijay. Thank you so much for being here.
Totally my pleasure and my honor. Thank you,
So,
Rashmi.
thank you, Vijay. And your journey has 34 years is a long time. So, take me back to how you got involved with the Max Foundation and where it all began.
This is something which I can tell again and again, and I myself am always so wonderstruck at how this came to be. I began working when I was very um, well. I mean, most women begin working at a much earlier age. I was 35 years old. I had two young boys, and I was a homemaker. I was somebody who loved to tidy up the house and to cook and to look after the children. And um, at that point in time of our lives, we had just returned from a long sojourn in North America and South America. We had been in Venezuela and we suffered a lot of financial losses, and then we came back to Bombay. Bombay is where my husband was born and brought up, and he worked all his life. And then I realized that I needed to be doing something to kind of make life a little bit easier for us.
Sure.
And we are so innocent. I kind of just thought that I could just step out into the city and find a job. No, that was not to be. I had no professional qualifications other than a degree in English literature. And so, I mean, like, I said, okay, maybe I can teach. And then they told me, yeah, if you need to teach, you need a degree, a Bachelor of Education degree. And of course, I didn't have that. I said to myself, maybe I'll go and get a degree. And then, of course, you have to have teaching experience to do that. And then, well, to cut the very long story short, I realized that it was not going to be so easy to find a job. A friend of mine, I used to teach school when I was very young, before I got married. This was in Delhi, which is my home. And so somebody who I knew at that time, she put me in touch with this gentleman who ran a non-profit for cancer. And I joined that non-profit. This was in 1986, 1987. My goodness, it was such a long time ago.
I know.
And I joined primarily as a fundraiser, in the sense that, I would, in India, we bring out, it's called a souvenir. And we ask for advertisements from companies. And so it was my job to find advertisements for a souvenir for this non-profit. And I remember Balad Estate and, Karnak Bandar, climbing up those, old offices, meeting small business houses and, telling them, collecting 1,000 rupees, 500. It was something else. And then we would go to mills and factories to collect funds. And mill workers and factory workers who earned something like maybe 1,200 or 1,500 rupees a month would actually, from their pay packet, give us 25 rupees, 30 rupees, 50 rupees. And then it dawned, on me that we need to give something back to these workers. And they were all addicted to tobacco, BDs, snuff. And so I was like, why not do cancer awareness lectures for these workers? And that is how, my interest in talking about cancer, in creating awareness about cancer, tobacco counseling began. And we managed to find some wonderful physician partners who gave us their free time. So not only did we do awareness lectures, we started taking our doctors and doing early detection camps for these workers. They were high risk. And I was deputed to Tata Memorial Hospital. They were beginning their department of preventive oncology. And I think that was a turning point for me, because that was how I learned all about cancer. And so I started taking cancer really seriously. Within 3 years in that department, preventive oncology, and then things happen. I moved on. I think it was burnout, Rashmi. I was also volunteering in the palliative care department there, and little children. And there was a year when I lost a lot of patients, and it was burnout. So I took a
And that
break. You
plays a
won't
big
believe it.
part on your mental health too, right? Like
Absolutely,
watching
because
that.
you're helpless.
Hmm.
There is only so much you can give, and so much you can make things better.
Hmm.
It was a total break for me. I was devastated, and then a friend who had a bookstore, he said, "Come and manage my bookstore." And I told him I have absolutely no knowledge of retail, but he said, "PG, you have product knowledge." So this is a bookstore called Crossword in Bombay. There was just this one store in Mahalakshmi, and I kind of enjoyed my year there. And then I went off to Delhi for a while, but eventually I came back because there was this position at the Max Foundation, and I guess they found me. And
And
the
Max
Max Foundation,
Foundation is a North American
yes,
organization.
it is headquartered in Seattle,
Hmm.
and they were partnering with the pharma company Novartis, and they were asked to manage a assistance program for patients. And so they found me, and then I took up the responsibility of running that program in this part of the world, the South Asia region. And so this is my 19th year with the Max Foundation.
Oh, wow. So you
And
were, despite trying to disconnect, you were drawn back to being a part of the cancer
yeah, so I guess
patient.
there's no getting away from cancer for me. And because I after the bookshop, after my job at the bookstore as store manager, I'd gone back to Delhi. I'd worked with a very dear friend who's a television is a very senior journalist, and then he was doing a television program for Doordarshan on the Indian diaspora. So I worked with him for like over a year. Did amazing things, interviewing, scripting, editing, voiceovers. But then this call came, and I had to come back to cancer. I had to come back to cancer.
But
And so we look at it. So I had the South Asia region, which is
okay.
Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, and we have this is a so the Max Foundation is committed to ensuring that any cancer patient, no matter where he or she lives, has access to treatment. And it may sound like a very simple manifesto, but it's not, because there are we work with pharmaceutical companies. We ask them to give donations on a humanitarian basis for patients in countries where these drugs are not available, patient at no cost.
Hmm.
And so um, it's it's something which constantly tells us that um, when you come together, it is partnerships built on faith and trust. With The objective is always that there has to be benefit for the patient. We have around 18,000 patients in the region
Wow.
who receive a drug. A bulk of these patients have a very rare leukemia called chronic myeloid leukemia.
Hmm.
They have to be on treatment, lifelong treatment, and it's a drug which has converted a potentially fatal condition into a chronic manageable condition. So these are patients who've been with us for many years. I've seen patients grow from a 10-year-old boy who's now like a 28-year-old young man, and they're coping with their cancers. It's something amazing.
Hmm.
So one of the something I'm really proud of is what we've done in the Max Foundation is we've created a platform for patients to be secure, safe, to come together to share and learn, and the whole concept of a support group for cancer patients. So the support group in India is called Friends of Max. The support group in Nepal is called Max Kosati. We have support groups in Philippines called Touched by Max, and we have Max Family in Malaysia. Max was a young boy who died of this very leukemia, Rashmi.
Okay.
He he was diagnosed when he was 14 years old. He died when he was 17, and there was this drug which patients now are able to take was not even there, and it was in his memory that the Max Foundation was set up. Yes.
Okay. So in India, the stigma still exists with cancer, especially communicating it to the family members, communicating it to, others for support and help. Has that changed over the years?
Sorry to say, the other day I was having a conversation with one of our leading oncologists, and so when I said this to somebody, it was in like a conference. So this was discussion over a chai, a break, a tea break, and so when this was somebody from Australia who was whom we were having a discussion with. And so this oncologist said, Viji, do you really think so? Because, I kind of feel that maybe it's kind of getting better. But to be honest, Rashmi, it is not. See, stigma, it is so strong. It is so powerful. It keeps patients away from accessing treatment. It keeps families from acknowledging. It keeps patients from living, from finding a way to seek a new normal. There is still discrimination at the workplace. Roles change, within the family, within your social circle, in your workspace, and cancer is still spoken about in whispers. Family members do not tell a patient. A patient sometimes is hesitant to share it with the extended family. I have been told, please don't call me. Please don't send your ambulance to the house. My neighbors will find out. I will call you. I have patients who don't want their teenage children to know that they have cancer. I have patients who don't want a mother-in-law to know that the daughter-in-law has cancer. It's frightening. It just
and that again is emotionally draining too for the patients themselves and their recovery.
Absolutely, for the patient, for the caregiver. Absolutely. Many a time a physician is told, please don't say that it's cancer in front of the patient. So you see, a patient has rights. If I have cancer, I need to know that I have cancer. It's my right to know what is my condition. Many a time, especially if the patient is a woman, it is some man in the family who takes the responsibility or who decides on behalf of the patient. And believe me, it's not just in specific socioeconomic strata. It's not just whom we would like to say illiterate or uneducated or coming from the villages. Many a time in all my years, I have felt the more education a patient or a family has been exposed to, the more reluctance to comply. So stigma is something, we are fighting cancer on so many fronts. And this is because of myths and misconceptions. Cancer is written in your forehead. It is your destiny. It is a sin. It's like a punishment for some past sin. It is a curse.
So how does your organization support the people who go through this? Like, I know you have support workers, you have
education, awareness, information, being there for the patient. This last year has been incredibly difficult because of the pandemic. We've had no face-to-face interventions with our patients. But otherwise, for years now, every month, my team and I, we are in one city or the other throughout the region, whether it is Dhaka or Colombo or Kathmandu or Bharatpur or Coimbatore, Madurai, Bhubaneswar, Rajkot, any city or any town you name, Raipur, we've been there, Indore, Bhopal. Go, we bring our oncologists from the city there, and these patient group meetings are amazing. We have more than 300 to 500 patients attend a meeting with their family members. The hospitals give us their auditoriums, the physicians come and spend time with them. Um, I do things like art workshops and music workshop and drama workshop and compliance exercises, awareness. And so we are there to support the patient in every possible manner, in every possible manner. And when you meet the patients face to face, when they meet each other face to face, when they're talking to a doctor uh, outside of the consulting rooms, it's like a one-on-one. They can ask any question they want to ask them. So that's something that's given a great boost to the patient's confidence. We use social media a lot, and of course now during the pandemic this year, we've started doing Zoom calls. Just 3 days ago was a meeting for all the patients in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and it was primarily held in Telugu with doctors from that region, patients sharing their stories, question answers. We have like 300 people coming on a Zoom chat.
Wow.
Sitting with their smartphones, and they're all there, and these meetings go on for 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Wow.
So it's not that we've tried to make even the pandemic work for
But
us.
in terms of their treatment, Viji, during the pandemic, it must have taken a backslash.
For the patients we work with, we have such a brilliant system. We have such a wonderful setup. Our supply chain, we have understanding with the pharmacy who have like 21 outlets, and we've worked with our physicians who have been wonderful, who have been sending us, the prescription for the patient on WhatsApp messages, teleconsultations. So the patients we work with, yes, initially there was a lot of difficulty because they had to go to a particular town or city and collect their medicine. You'd be so surprised. We've had police force in Kerala, the firemen, they have come to our help. Patients themselves have volunteered to pick up medication for other patients. But
wow, that's amazing.
Patients themselves have gone, they've gone. Sajeevan has gone and collected medication for like, I don't know, 20 patients and personally couriered them to those patients. We've had wonderful support, but on a generally speaking, cancer patients have been unable to follow up with their treatment. It for the first 10 months or so, or let me put it, maybe for the first 6 or 7 months, it was impossible. OPDs were closed, surgeries were put off, patients were not, we weren't able to diagnose newly affected patients. A follow-up was a disaster. But I honestly think, despite all the challenges in this part of the world, physicians, clinical coordinators, non-profits, support groups, people have really come together as one and tried to minimize the effect of the pandemic as much as possible. But it has not been enough, which is a fact. We still don't know. It's so difficult to gather data, but we know for sure that many patients have had to discontinue their treatment. And then you know how it is with cancer when you discontinue treatment or when there is a break. So this is the time now when people are reassessing, people are coming back, and the physicians and the oncologists are working night and day to see that somehow they can bring the patients back on some kind of even keel. It's a big challenge. It's a very big challenge.
And During this process of, with the Max Foundation, there came about something called Chai for Cancer. How did that concept come into play, and what is Chai for Cancer?
I have my cup of chai right here.
There you go. I got mine too. I'm a big fan of chai too.
So this was something I came up with this idea in, it's the 8th year now, so say 2014. So I was telling you about our patients who received drug at no cost,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that patients were not coming to collect their drug.
Okay.
We thought it's going to be so simple. Here you are, you're in the program, you're going to get the drug at no cost for the rest of your life, for as long as your physician prescribes it to you. All you have to do is once in 3 months, come to the physician, get yourself checked, get your monitoring tests done, go to the outlet, collect your medication, and go back home. Very simple. But then we found that there are patients who live in distant villages, in small towns. For them, it means traveling 3 or 4 days to come to a major cancer treatment center. And then you have to stay there. You can't travel alone. If it's your child, the mother and father have to come. If it's an elderly parent, a son, or maybe another sibling, you have to. So it meant patients who were either farm labor, daily wage earners, somebody running a chai stall, a cobbler, a tailor, uh, a daughter-in-law of a very large poor family from any state you want to name. And I found that these people were falling off my radar. There is one gentleman called Rambabu Mahato. He comes from Bihar. He's very young when he was diagnosed. He's been living with CML for almost 14 years now. He was a truck driver, and when his takedar found out that he has cancer, he lost his job, and then he became very irregular, and then he used to come like once in 8 months or so. So then one time I sat him down and I said, Rambabu, what is this? You're so irregular. Your medicine is over. Well, his reason primarily for not coming was that he was taking, instead of taking a pill every day, he was taking a pill once in every 3 or 4 days, because he said that if he takes the pill, he feels like vomiting, he feels nauseous. So then I told him, have you spoken to your doctor about it? He was being treated in Tata Memorial Hospital. He said, yes, I spoke to my doctor. Doctor साहब ने कहा, एक कप दूध के साथ पी लो. Have your medicine with a glass of milk, and that will prevent you from this bad feeling. So then, I'm like, so I said, oh, so do you take it with milk? So you know what Ram Babu told me, Rashmi? He said, Amma ji, दूध का पैसा होता, मैं अपने बच्चे के लिए दूध खरीदता, मैं नहीं पीता. If I had the money for milk, Amma ji, I would have brought it. I'd buy for my child. I wouldn't drink it. I realized that the sheer, the magnitude of what patients have to go without. And there was this other gentleman whose 10-year-old child was our patient. They lived in a slum in Malad. Malad is like about 40 kilometers from our office. Our office is in Varli. And this was May. And he came to the office to collect the child's, the prescription and the papers. And he was sweating so profusely. So I was like, kya hua? So he said, he had cycled all the way. He had ridden a bicycle all the way from Malad to Bombay in this May heat. Wow. So I said, bus nahi mila aapko. He didn't have the fare. He didn't have bus fare.
Oh, to take the
He
bus.
Didn't have the money to pay bus fare. He borrowed a cycle from his neighbor in the slum and he came all the way. I mean, we are giving the medication free, but to collect that free medication, patients don't have the resources. There was this child, such a sweet child. I mean, she's doing very well now. Okay. She's doing very well. She's going to go into college now. But this was, I asked her, how is school? She said she hasn't been to school for 3 months. I said, why? She said, the month Baba has to do my diagnostic test, it's called the BCR-ABL test. The month I have to do my BCR-ABL, I can't pay school fees. So my 3 months school fees goes into one BCR-ABL test. So, auntie, I've not gone to school in the last 3 months because my father can either pay for my test or pay for my school fees.
Oh,
So I was like, guys, we have to do something. We have to raise funds for this.
absolutely.
And that is how Chai for Cancer came into being. I sat down with my team, with the trustees of Friends of Max, which is the patient support group arm that I have built up. And the trustees are all patients or caregivers of patients, and we are 12 of us. And we were about maybe 6 of us who are in Bombay around my table. I called them over. I said, we have to do something. And I said, let's do a fundraiser. Let's do it. The Chai for Cancer name just came. I picked up my cup and I said, I'm going to call all of you to my house. I'm going to have a Chai for Cancer adda. Come home. We'll all have chai. Okay. There'll be jalebis, there'll be samosas, there'll be cakes, whatever.
I would be right there.
Yes, but everybody has to pay something for that cup of chai. 100 rupees is minimum. Minimum pay 100 rupees for that cup of chai. And let's collect money that way. Chai is something which is so ordinary, so non-intimidating, so warm, so welcoming, so conducive to conversation. Chai is something you don't give it even a second thought. You just embrace your cup of chai.
It's comforting too.
Cancer. But cancer is not like that. You're afraid of cancer. There is stigma attached to cancer. You don't want to talk about cancer. You're frightened of cancer. So why not bring cancer onto the same platform as chai? That was my thought. Let's have chai together. Let's talk about cancer. So Rashmi, it is as much of a awareness tool as it is a fundraiser. Let's make the cancer narrative stronger. Let's bring it to everybody. So when people came over, the first adda I had in my house, 86 people came into my tiny little apartment, and I raised 1,26,000 rupees because people paid more than 100 rupees per cup of chai. I had in the morning, there was samosas, 11 o'clock, go with the chai. Then there was biryani. Then there were cakes and cupcakes. People brought food with them. People brought their love, their kindnesses. They brought their cancer stories. Wow. We spoke about our experiences. We shared, we sang, we ate, and we drank, and everybody donated. Everybody who came donated. Wow. And that first year, my patients themselves had Chai for Cancer addas. Viji Bhatt in Jammu, JP Tiwari in Bhopal, Suresh Pawar in Mumbai, Pungoday in Coimbatore, Karthikeyan Kanagaraj in Udumalpettai, Nandini Dabir in Chennai, OP in Bhuvaneshwar, Kuldeep in Chandigarh. Everybody held Chai for Cancer addas in their homes. Then my friends joined in. And the next year, corporates joined in. The FM station, Red FM, they became our partners. And then it just kind of grew. Of course, social media, Rashmi, social media has been a very, very powerful tool here. I did no advertising, no money spent on anything. Everybody offered to do my graphics, to do posters, and we made a Facebook page. And then now, of course, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, and patients who would say, no, mera naam nahi. Yeah. Today they call me and say, Amma, Rashmi patients call me Amma. All my patients call me Amma.
Call you Amma.
So they call me and say, Amma, mujhe tag nahi kiya aapne. Amma, please tag me. Please tag my photo on Facebook. I mean, I am so proud of the fact that today, no patient has qualm standing up and saying, yeah, I'm a cancer patient. I'm undergoing treatment for cancer. And today is World Cancer Day. If you go into our Instagram page, Friends of Max, or if you go to our Facebook page, if you go to Chai for Cancer page, you'll find patients have posted their photographs with really inspiring messages. Really, really inspiring messages. I am a cancer patient. I will make sure that nobody will die of cancer, or I am a patient advocate. I will remain strong. I will be fearless. I will do this, I will do that. And they've sent their photographs and they have no objections to my saying, this is Karan Vyas, or this is Nitesh Kumar, or this is Ravi Datta, or this is Nandini, or this is Vasamvada. They say, yeah, we are part of this movement.
That is
No,
wonderful. And
that's
this, so it's such a proud thing for you, for people in the community, as well as the organization, for them to accept that and come out and talk about it so openly.
absolutely. Because what a cancer patient fears most
Hmm.
is stigma.
Yeah.
How can I tell? How can I tell others? Fear of the unknown. You're facing your own mortality, despair, anger,
Hmm.
disbelief, denial. And eventually, on a platform like what we've created, there comes acceptance.
Hmm.
And this acceptance is not some kind of a fatalistic thing, कि भाई ये मेरे नसीब में है,
Hmm.
okay, there's nothing I can do. This acceptance comes out of understanding.
Hmm.
And that is what gives you more courage.
Absolutely. So, going back to the chai for cancer concept, I know at some point you also had kind of, I've seen one or two posts where it seemed to have gone a little global as well.
Yes, yes.
So tell me a little about that, where people can reach out if they want to contribute to the
I
organization.
have friends. I have friends who have held addas in Toronto, Meera Sethi, and a very, very dear friend, a patient herself called Samantha in Montreal, and Anita Lal in Vancouver. So, and then many friends and family in the United States, in Singapore. It's something that has caught the imagination. To be honest, it's not a very original idea,
Okay.
Rashmi. I had done my fellowship in cancer awareness at the workplace in Australia, in Brisbane, and this was the International Union Against Cancer. This was in 1994-95, and one week I was with patient volunteers, one week I was with survivors, one week I was doing education, and one week I was doing fundraising, and somebody took me to a tea party.
Okay.
It's called Australia's biggest tea and coffee morning, and this was at a beautiful farm house kind of a place, and there was tea and there was cake and there was so many things to eat, and then you had to pay because the money collected during that tea or that coffee morning was going to the welfare of cancer patients. And I remember paying, I don't know, $5 or $10. And I even picked up a mug which said Australia's biggest tea and coffee morning. And that mug has been lying on my table at work for years and years. 1994, you do your math to
Yeah.
2014 when I so when I had my patient group with me, I had picked up that mug and said, you know what, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're
Okay.
going to do, but we're going to call it Chai for Cancer. And yes, we
Amazing.
have people can host addas in their homes, in their offices, wherever they want to. They can host. They can call their friends over, and their friends can contribute, and the money can be sent to the Friends of Max account, which is we have an FCRA account into which money can come in. The Max Foundation, otherwise, an easier way of doing it is donate to the Max Foundation in Seattle. That it'd be much easier for people in North America to donate directly to the Max Foundation. And the idea is to bring cancer into your homes
Mhm.
and know and understand that cancer is it's just a word, it's not a sentence. It's just a disease, absence of ease. It
Mhm.
is something where today treatment is amazing, follow-up is possible, compliance with so many people working for compliance, and there is life. There is life after cancer. There is life with cancer. I I always look upon it. We're all on the journey of life, Rashmi. We're
Yeah.
all in this. Okay,
Absolutely.
from birth to end of life.
Mhm.
We don't think of end of life. We're not worried. We're enjoying this journey with our friends, family, with our colleagues. Uh, every once in a while, some of us are asked to get down before we reach our destination at this random stop. Let's call it cancer. You get off there and you look around, you're alone, you're isolated, you don't know what's going to happen to you, you're afraid. And then after a while, somebody else joins you, and then yet another person, and then you form a group, you get support from each other, and then you realize that, this place is not so isolated after all. There are doctors, there are support groups, there are advocates, there are counselors. So you get together, you form this kind of a bonding.
Yeah.
And yes, you cannot get back onto that same track, but you get onto a parallel track,
Yeah.
and you create a new normal,
Absolutely.
and you continue on your way to end of life. So that stop doesn't have to be your final destination.
Absolutely.
That is really what Chai for Cancer tells people.
Fantastic, fantastic concept, fantastic idea. And I'm sure it's benefiting so many people who are battling this cancer treatment and, going through everything that they are. You are also a part of the Being Human, the Salman Khan Foundation. So tell me a little about what work you do on that front.
The foundation is about 13 or 14 years old now, and I've known Salman Khan for many years, maybe 25 years or so, and such an amazing person. And he was always willing to help patients, and he would raise funds for treatment, and he would come and visit them in the hospitals. And I had told him, if he would, that he could set up something and do it in a very structured manner. And that's how the foundation came into being. And it's amazing what they do. So my role as a trustee is to generally look after any health related, let me put it this way, cancer related.
Okay.
The foundation supports children. Its primary objective is, children with heart problems, cancer, and saving eyesight. So they do a lot of stuff for that, and yeah, it's no patient is turned away.
In this whole journey, how has this experience molded Viji Venkatesh as a person?
I've become a better person. I've become stronger. I've become braver. I've learned one thing, that people see you the way you look at yourself. That's what my patients have taught me. You're comfortable in your skin. That's how people see you. And it's very important to understand that. And also, Rashmi, the little things in life, the little joys, we are so blessed to have life. This is my 69th year, and I hear people saying old age is a curse, fighting age in many different ways. I feel age is a blessing. Every year you get to live is a blessing, because I
You
live in
don't
the
look
midst of.
69, Viji. You got to tell me a secret.
Thank you. Look at my gray hair. Every gray strand is earned. Every wrinkle is earned.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide them. I'm not going to hide them. No.
Yeah.
So so what I was saying was, I live in the midst of people who don't know how many more years they have to live.
True.
So they have made cancer work for them. They tell us that cancer has made me a better person. Cancer has given me better understanding of life. Cancer has made me do better things with my time. So I honestly feel that the courage patients show, and the caregivers, their calm demeanor, the total faith they put in their doctors, the confidence they come to us for. I think all of that has made a deep impact, and I love what I do. I find so much joy in what I do, because my patients give me joy. Patients give me joy. So people ask me, how can you be so happy when you're working with cancer? So
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just that we embrace life
Mm-hmm.
and we live
Learn
every
to appreciate
moment.
small joys.
You know, a sunset, a sunrise,
Yeah.
Venus and Mars, very close by to the moon.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
the bird song outside,
Mhm.
watching a film,
Yeah.
um, just sharing uh, some really personal moments.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone says I love you, when a patient tells you I love you, Amma, you know, you just feel so rich, just
Absolutely.
feel
That's
so
beautiful.
empowered.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us take life too seriously. So letting go, enjoying the moments for what it
Yes,
is,
yes.
it's very important.
And I think the pandemic also has taught us many things. We all
Absolutely.
want, I'm very keen to get back to normal. You know, I
Yeah.
know that we will. Something in me tells me that this is going to be behind us.
Yeah.
But this has also taught us, you know, how to do without,
Mm-hmm.
how to, and I think I've understood the meaning of two words very clearly. One is gratitude.
Yeah.
We have so much to be thankful for, so much to be thankful for.
True.
And the other is privilege,
Yeah.
you know,
Very true.
to have a home into which you can be locked down,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to have resources.
Yeah.
People have lost jobs, people have lost homes, people have lost lives.
Yeah.
But I think we have to really understand what privilege really means and share that with others.
Absolutely. Viji, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you and learning about your journey and what you've done, the amazing work. Thank you so much for sharing this with me, my viewers, listeners. It's an absolute honor. So thank you so much and wishing you, and I'm sure the people who are connected with you love you for the wonderful person you are. So thank you again.
Thank you, and thank you for carrying my voice. Thank you once again. It's
Thank
so
you.
important to be heard.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're doing some fabulous work. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. Thank you.